Contrasting previous blindness with the sight of faith, the metaphor is ancient and takes us beyond religion only. We all have blind spots, some minor, some not so minor. Usually it takes some event or trigger to recognize that we are not seeing with 20/20 vision. The same can be true of a level of faith. Perhaps we can make our own the request of Bartimaeus, "Lord, that I may see." There are other stories in the gospel about blind people being healed, but the one about Bartimaeus is told in a liveliest way, and it has a nice lesson for us. The poor man had lost his sight, and when he heard that Jesus of Nazareth was passing by, he had to make a choice quickly. He could just sit there and let Jesus pass him by, or he could grab the moment and ask to be healed. Jesus was said to have the power to heal, but you had to get his attention and ask to be healed. An American cartoon by Schultz, a sharp-tongued little girl named Lucy, was trying to reform her classmate, Charlie Brown. She glanced at him critically. "Do you know what's wrong with you, Charlie Brown?" she asked. "What?" he asked nervously. Lucy fumed at him and said, "What's really wrong with you is that, well, you don't know what's wrong with you." Bartimaeus was not like that, but he quite knew what was wrong with him and was determined to have it cured. When he called out to Jesus, people around him tried to get him to shut up and stay quiet. But he just shouted louder and kept shouting until Jesus stopped and called him over. Although Bartimaeus was blind, Jesus stayed where he was and let the blind man come to him. If he really wanted to be cured, he would find a way to get to him. It was obvious that the man was blind, and yet Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The man had to clearly name his problem and do so himself. If one of us needs to be cured of something, whether blindness, alcoholism, depression, or any other addiction, then we need to come to Jesus and tell him what's wrong. We need to name it. Of course, he knows our needs, and yet he asks, "What do you want?" Your Heavenly Father will surely give you to those who ask. Bartimaeus' words were simple and uncomplicated. There was no long speech, no haggling, no wheedling. "I want to see," was his direct reply. And Jesus told them his faith had healed him. Rightly, this blind man knew that Jesus would not turn away from the cry of the poor. Just think of what he did. He threw aside his old cloak, got up and ran to Jesus. The old cloak might be a symbol of his past, his darkness, his despair. He made an act of hope-filled faith, and Jesus did not disappoint him. All attempts of the bystanders to silence him made him more determined. It was clear about what he wanted and knew who could help him to get it. That's why Bartimaeus has a lesson for all of us, here and now. Lord, I want to see.